Hello, my name is Tracy Todaro and welcome to the Be Courageous Summit. Our intention for the summit is to provide encouragement and support as we're all struggling with challenging emotions going through this pandemic. We live in the age of speed, and learning how to get past any overwhelm while thriving at the same time is the expertise you'll take away from our fabulous next speaker. With insights from his best-selling book, The Age of Speed and The Ant and the Elephant, you will hear about a man who went from recreational skier to the Olympics in just 4 years, rocketing at an incredible 135 miles per hour on skis in the Winter Games, followed by 20 years of helping Fortune 500 companies go full speed ahead. You will get an invigorating and entertaining perspective on gliding through the demands we each face. Vince is an expert on resiliency, the ability to overcome setbacks and break through even stronger than ever before. Please welcome an inductee into the Speaker Hall of Fame, Olympian, New York Times bestselling author, and second chair clarinet player in his high school band, Vince Poscente.
Hi, Tracy. Are you enjoying this COVID camping?
Yeah. I worked out of my home before, so it's not a whole lot different except for the shortage on paper products.
Yeah.
And kids lingering around.
Well, we've got 3 college-age kids, similar in age to yours, kind of. Ours is a little older. They're 19, 21, and 22. And actually, my biggest complaint is they're drinking all my beer.
Oh, yeah. I know. I'm struggling with that, too. I'm like, I don't remember drinking all of that.
They did teach me how to shotgun the other day, so that's a new skill I guess I now have.
Yeah, getting plugged into social media really now. I'm learning TikTok. I'm learning,
Right.
Stuff. So it's good. So thank you for joining us. And I know you've got some amazing books and you've done some phenomenal speaking engagements and just sharing your fantastic story of just getting from this place of, within 4 years, making it to the Olympics. And,
right.
I don't know, let's talk about setbacks to breakthroughs.
Yeah. Well, it's listening to that introduction, that was a pre-pandemic introduction that's still relative, but I know that we're not as concerned about the age of speed as much as surviving or making sure that, everything we know has been taken out from underneath our feet. So I'd like for my comments to be directed more towards how do we stay resilient and thrive, meaning you don't manage your way to excellence, right? You don't cope and expect peak performance to occur. And so from an athlete standpoint, and basically a person that's written 8 books. So I'd love to contribute to your listeners in terms of how they can not just survive this, but really thrive in a way that they can accelerate outcomes. Sound fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
That'd be great. Yeah, so just, obviously going through your own personal experience of having to make these adjustments in life and the things that you teach and speak about, how would you share incorporating that into what we're experiencing?
I would break it down to 5 C's to really simplify this and clarify it. So the first of the 5 C's is clarity of vision. But out of the chute, it's more than just vision, right? It's where do you want to end up with that emotional quotient? What is that outcome that you want to have in 3 months from now, 9 months from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? And what's the emotion attached to that? And it kind of answers the question, how does a guy decide at 26 years old to go to the Olympic Games and then 4 years later, not only be in those Olympic Games, but vie for the gold medal? And it had everything to do with the attachment of the emotion of what it would feel like to march in the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games, right? This emotional quotient, I call it the emotional buzz, when a thought creates a physical reaction. The thought of marching in the opening ceremonies, whether or not it was realistic or not is not the point. There was a massive emotional connection to that. And so this Olympic story, if you will, has been replicated over and over in my life because whenever you set that outcome as the emotional buzz, and the emotional buzz, it also has the five senses. What does it look like, smell like, taste like? All the five senses and the emotion attached to that, like gratitude and satisfaction and all that, man, then you start to integrate a concept that's this alignment between your conscious intention of where you want to go and this subconscious agenda, which is subconscious. Like, it's below consciousness. So what's going on down there? And this subconscious conscious activity is the same ratio between an ant and an elephant. In fact, there was research done by a guy named Dr. Lee Poulos, and he found that in a second of time, your conscious mind is processing with 2,000 neurons. So right now, you're thinking, man, that guy looks like Anderson Cooper, a little chunkier, whatever you're thinking consciously. Could shave once in a while. Man, this COVID camping, you just kind of give up. You say, I don't care what I look like anymore. Or at least that's me. You look fabulous. I don't know how you're doing it. But the conscious mind is processing with all these 2,000 neurons in a second. In the same second, your subconscious mind, same second, processing with 4 billion neurons. The ratio between your conscious and subconscious mind's activity is the exact same ratio between an ant and an elephant. Now, your ant is on the back of your elephant making decisions on direction, not just what you want to do professionally, but personally, physically as well. So the conscious mind is on the back of the elephant saying, I'm going to go west, and starts marching west on the back of the elephant. But what if the elephant is headed east? Which way is the ant really going? East, thinking he's going west. And so this is this alignment issue of getting your ant and elephant pointed in the same direction. And that's that emotional buzz that I was talking about. That is clarity. That emotional buzz is clarity. So that would be a good place to start.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And it's just making that connection, right? Of understanding, like getting, like you said, alignment. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that subconscious mind, not to get into the whole science behind it, but it truly is the captain driving the ship, right?
Yeah.
We want the ship to go one way, and the captain's like, no, this is what we've always done. This is where we're going.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's important for people to start paying closer attention to possibly where their minds or what their habits and patterns are, right? Because this is the time where those are all having to be broken through, and creating new habits and new positive habits and new patterns.
Yeah, and what habits are not working for you and which ones are. The problem with this whole ant and the elephant equation is most of these habits are unconscious. They're in the subconscious. And it isn't until you get evidence of ending up in a different direction. I just, the other day came out of the shower and I didn't see the evidence of losing any weight. I was going, Mother of God, what's going on right now? So anyway, so I do have something going on below the surface that's holding me back from being able to get in that fighting weight again, or whatever you want to call it. Just not the horror of next pandemic, we are taking down all the mirrors. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's a good solution. That's a quick fix, right?
Sure. La 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 la. But anyway, it's that emotional buzz where you want to end up. So here I am trying to take my advice. I'm not using it, but I've been paying attention. Okay, what is the intake? What is the output? And being able to really define this. What habits do I have that are creating these results? And so when each of us on this call can answer that question and say, this one habit needs to be let go of, that then further amplifies the emotional buzz and that clarity of where you want to end up.
Yeah, and it's uncovering. I mean, from my own personal experience, uncovering, just creating this summit, right? I had this vision of doing a small summit, maybe, 200 people in person, and here we're having a reach of over 250,000. I was going to say dollars, but I meant people.
People, yeah.
And it's a free summit, so yes, there's no money in that. But as I was getting ready to get on video, this terror came over me because I've just not, like, it's something I've always wanted to do, but not. And then I was like, that is interesting. And then I had my
Yep.
coach challenge me and be like, you need to make a video tonight. And I took in a panic. And what came up? Memory from first grade. I
Oh,
stood
really?
up to speak. I thought I got called on. I didn't. Everybody laughed at me. Subconscious, had no idea.
Yep. Yep. That's there's all sorts of subconscious stuff we each have to overcome. And I've been asked this question a lot recently: is how do you expand your comfort zone? And the trite answer is, well, you just, just expand it, do a little risk here and do it. But I'd like to tie in that it's also something to do with, this is all psychobabble, but it's about levels of deservability as well.
Mhm.
And in first grade, you got programmed at that moment to have, well, wait a minute, when you have this situation in front of people, the consequence is you're going to be laughed at and you're going to feel. So I really, this level of deservability and the comfort zone are interrelated. And yes, you can expand that, but also embracing this notion of being stepping into the unknown. And this is this Olympic story. I mean, I, I was 26 years old. I'd never ski raced before. And I had a clarity of vision of marching in the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. Now, clarity from an emotional standpoint, how cool it that I didn't know how to get there. I had no idea that it was possible. I'd seen other athletes reach the Olympic Games in other sports, and I went, okay. I actually called it the Yahoo theory, which is if that Yahoo can do it, so can I.
I like
So
that.
we actually call it the asshole theory, but I'm not going to say that online because, who's
No,
going to say
no, no.
that? So, so to be able to actually step forward in this, it was one step at a time, obviously. And the second piece was commitment. And commitment, the second C, is easy to say. Yeah, I'm in, I commit. But commitment is more of a process than episodic, right? You can say you're in and then realize, wait a minute, I have to constantly re-up, which is what you've gone through with these videos. You stepped in, you did the first commitment, and then you recommitted, right? And you recommitted, you committed
Right.
today. So yeah, that it's so easy to say, but my goodness, it's a difficult thing to just execute on because you're stepping into the unknown each time. But that's it. I mean, there's what is it? Woody Allen said 90% of success is showing up,
Yeah.
right? Now,
And
that's really
that's it.
showing up is a commitment, right? When you're in action, when you're acting, not inaction, when you're acting, when you're in the place of action, you are committing to that next step. You're picking up the phone, you're dialing that number, you're saying hello. And then the third piece is consistency. And when I was trying to make the Olympic team, I realized to compete differently was necessary because these guys had been racing since they were 5 years old. I started at 26. So you can't compete the way everybody else is, but I could do what the competition's not willing to do. And so that meant I wasn't catching up physically. I was just doing what the competition's not willing to do. And if your listeners can kind of embrace this mindset or question, what's my competition? What's a high performer not willing to do? And typically the answer is those are the things you're not willing to do either.
Mm.
So as we move forward in this competitive landscape, and it will be competitive, there's going to be, let's say, fewer jobs for higher a number of quality people. What could you do the competition's not willing to do? Look in the self-honesty mirror and say, what am I not willing to do? And you'll come up with some innovative solutions as you move along. So as a ski racer, I wanted to get into a wind tunnel, but I couldn't afford it. So I got on top of a friend's car
Oh
and
my
was wearing a
gosh.
pink rubber suit. Oh yeah. It's not particularly proud of this story, but anyways, I got on top of my friend's car. The only speed suit that I could afford was free. And it was a hot pink speed suit. So I'm on top of a friend's car in a pink rubber suit. And my biggest fear was not crashing the car, it was getting arrested. And so anyway, do what the competition's not willing to do. I mean, putting together all sorts of mental training strategies, tools like the gold dot. Here's an example. See this gold dot right here. This gold dot is a trigger for your emotional buzz. So when you have a trigger, i.e. marching in the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games, Then you have something that can trigger and keep that ant and elephant aligned. And then finally, the two C's are confidence and control. Confidence comes from experience. Well, what if we don't have experience with a pandemic, right? What if we don't have experience with a new job or a new responsibility, doing videos like this? But any athlete will tell you, every musician will tell you, and anybody in a competitive environment will tell you that 80% of any kind of outcome has to do with confidence. So think about this for a second. How do you have confidence without the experience? And what's interesting, think of it this way, it's a relationship between confidence and fear. And when fear is high and confidence is low, performance goes down and then results are compromised. And what we always do when we don't get the results we want, you've got teenagers, you can sit them down and say, okay, these results aren't where we want them, so we're going to change our actions to get better results. Do you agree? Okay, so we're saying this to a teenager that only hears like wah, 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 right? So it's not about the actions changing the results, it's the relationship between confidence and fear, and it's raising the confidence and lowering the fear. When you have high confidence and low fear, whether or not you have experience, what happens to your results? They go up. High confidence, low fear means better performance, which means better results. So what sets up high confidence and low fear? Oddly enough, it's a decision to have fun. Just have fun. I mean, we'll figure this out together. And then I know I'm oversimplifying it, but when I figured out the decision to have fun in ski racing, where I knew I was going to go over 130 miles an hour on skis, that flipped the gap between confidence and fear. I just decided to have fun. I trusted the elephant to figure out how to have fun doing this. When I speak to a room full of engineers, they go, well, where's the data? You know, there's no data on this. The data is that when you set yourself up, it's almost a faith over force, faith that the subconscious mind will figure this out, and instead of forcing it into being. And so anyway, the fifth C is control. You can't control the environment, but you can control what you bring to the environment. And so prior to every race run and prior to every speech, I go through a 5-step routine. One, I always get there early. So for our call, for example, I knew the time we were supposed to be on this call. I climbed on early and I was just waiting for that spinning wheel for you to pop on. Why get there early? Well, what happens to stress when you get there early?
Yeah. It's
managed. 2, breathe. Well, when we're in a stressful scenario, let's say giving a speech or an important sale or negotiation, you get into shallow breathing mode. Often I've heard this, people say, oh, I get on stage and I just freeze. What you have done is you've reduced oxygen flow to the part of the brain called the amygdala. Shallow breathing will reduce oxygen flow and kick you into fight, flight, or freeze. None of those things have anything to do with peak performance in a race run or a speech or a sale or negotiation. So get there early. 2, breathe, oxygenate the amygdala, which basically means just deep breaths. 3, visualize the outcomes. And when I say visualize, that's a misnomer. It's experientialize the outcomes, meaning what does it look like, smell like, taste like? Bring in an experience of the outcomes of what you want to create here. And the subconscious mind, 4 billion neurons every second go, all right, got it, check, roger that. So that's the third piece. The fourth piece, I call it the vortex technique, and it's basically a vortex of energy coming into my head, and I just imagine the highest and the best just coming into my head, the highest and best, and fill up. And then the fifth step in that routine is the decision to have fun. Just have fun. So, and I don't know whether this is just me because of how I'm wired, or it's a universal truth that just have fun. I think it's a universal truth. I think that if we just kind of let go and enjoy this, you will have a better result no matter what it is you're trying to accomplish. So that's the 5 C's. And so got to the Olympic Games, ended up being ranked 10th in the world after a couple of years, was in the gold medal run of the Olympic Games in speed skiing, a demonstration sport in the Olympics in Albertville. Did not win the gold medal, actually placed 15th. and I hit a bump. And so that's what we've done right now. And so when we hit bumps, then there's a whole new approach to trying to create this. And that's why I wrote the sequel to The Ant and the Elephant, called The Ant, Elephant, and Earthquake, which is coming out, I don't know, sometime this or next year. I don't know when. So,
Well, that is a definitely an amazing title, and especially like considering it, putting to this situation that's going on now into that, because it's a life altering situation, right? And how
right,
are each of us going to manage through that? And
right.
so going back to the have fun thing, I love that. And I think it's true. Like my kids and I, when we go to the store, it's like everybody's so just like, don't talk to me. I mean, I think people believe that if you look at somebody, you're going to get the virus. So there's no eye contact. Everybody just walks through anyways. It's, we just have fun. We go on a little like, okay, let's see if there's toilet paper today or paper towels or, whatever it is.
Yep,
And it's
right.
just, we've got a choice to either be miserable, right? And suffer through this, or enjoy it and turn it into the best situation that you can when you're out.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so, this next book, I'll give you a sneak peek. There's 3 elements. Let me put it this way. When you are in chaos, there's no linear way out of chaos. What I mean by that is what I just gave you, these 5 C's, is a very linear, systematic approach to clarify, commit, consistency, confidence, and control. And if you do those things, even if you run into obstacles, north is always north. And you'll always be able to figure your way to accomplish where you want to end up. But in chaos, in a massive setback, in a personal earthquake, it's not linear anymore. And I call it in the book the solution loop. And that's to be able to look, it's 3 things you can focus on. The book is much more comprehensive than what I'm about to say, but collaborate. Look for ways to collaborate with your conscious and subconscious mind. Collaborate with a significant other. Collaborate. Instead of the polarity of a situation, it's that, and I'm here, and we're never going to be in the common ground. It's a collaboration of letting go and collaborating on a third reality, if you wish, which maybe this will work. And so the second piece is a curiosity, being able to be very curious on what things that collaboration could create to get you out of this stuckness of chaos of this COVID camping earthquake that we're experiencing. And then the creativity, being creative. Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? And so the curiosity and creativity and the collaboration starting there is this loop, if you will, of trying to escape that stuckness. And sometimes something will catch, something will get traction and pop you out. And that's really the way out of this chaos that we're experiencing together. So.
Yeah. So back to the ant and the elephant. Obviously, with this situation, a lot of people are kind of evaluating their lives and thinking like, oh, maybe I want to do this, or I should go do this, something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Can you share from your experience when you've experienced resistance and what you've done, or what I should say is resistance in allowing positive situations or positive thoughts to come, to envelop those things and move forward. Like, I think there's a lot of people are afraid to be happy. People are afraid to feel good. People are afraid to make changes that are actually going to make their lives better.
Yeah. Let me give you a tool that will change your life. Let's put it that way. And it's actually
$1 million idea.
Oh, this is massive. This is absolutely massive, and absolutely won't work unless you have an emotional buzz, that you have an experience of the 5 senses of a scenario in the future where you could see yourself, where you just resonate with that. Where if this came true, I just talked about the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games. Okay, that's one. Right now, my current emotional buzz is a mortgage-free mansion by the ocean, and we're thinking of Puerto Vallarta, right? Okay, so you've got this place, mortgage-free. What does that cost? $3 million, $4 million? We live in Dallas, and we just got annihilated financially, okay? But there's an emotional buzz of that place, okay? And it's not just a materialistic thing. That's actually the last thing. My wife has got her right hand on my left shoulder. The sun is coming down. We hear the kids playing out front. We've done a bit of a reunion where friends are there. We're toasting champagne or what it tastes like. So you feel the warmth of the sun, you hear the smell of the surf, all that kind of stuff. So there's a scenario in place, okay? Without that scenario, what I'm about to say is kind of pointless. It'll work kind of, but man, this is life-changing if you do it this way. So you've got your emotional buzz. And now something negative happens, a thought or an outside thought that somebody gives you their feedback that wasn't, really didn't even ask for it. But so you get feedback and it's negative, and you ask the ant, ask the elephant, because there's a fear response that kicks in immediately. And the ant says to the elephant, thank you, but that's not part of my vision. My vision is, and then you snap back to that emotional buzz you had in the first place. So this basically a hack on patterns of the subconscious mind are what are necessary. And so to have this realization that, wait, that's not taking me closer to, the ant has to really say, is that taking me closer to my emotional buzz or further away? And if the answer is it's further away, then that kicks in again. The ant says, thank you, that's not part of my vision, and goes right back on to the emotional buzz. Now, it's not just a snap to an emotional buzz. It could be, let's say you have a vision of hosting a family reunion on a lake nearby where you live. Well, just seeing that scenario is okay, but what if you had the five senses and it was an absolute experience that was locked into your subconscious mind? Then you've pivoted from what's taking you off course to immediately back on course. And it's just a constant state of those pivots. There'll be dozens, if not hundreds, in a day, especially at the beginning. But eventually, you get so good at it, you're on track, you're on course. Your north is exactly north, and you go, okay, no, wait, that's where I want to end up. So you end up north, and then you end up on that path again. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. So diving into that a little bit more, when somebody has those negative thoughts come up, are you saying that it's important for them to acknowledge that voice?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I hear you. I know you're
Right.
afraid to do this, but we're going to keep doing it.
Exactly. That's why you say thank you. The ant doesn't know why the elephant, 4 billion neurons every second, is delivering that little fear-based notion. We don't know why or what it's protecting. In the same breath, thank you, but that's not part of my experience or vision. And then it pivots onto what you want. So this acknowledgement of collaboration, right? If you're in a relationship and there was no acknowledgement for the other side, it's you're not going to get very far in this relationship. And so it's the relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind. There has to be this collaboration, and the conscious mind and the subconscious mind metaphorically need to let go of what it is that they're dialed in on and collaborate on that emotional buzz of where they want to end up.
Right? Yes, and it's that resistance the resistance that becomes so uncomfortable, right? Like, no, I'm not thinking that, no, instead of just allowing it to present itself, right? Like what we resist persists, like saying to the viewers, like, don't think of a pink elephant right now. Don't think of a pink elephant. Like, it's there, right? And so as we continue to resist that little voice that's like, no, I'm afraid, I want to go there. We're not allowing it to, I guess, be redirected, right?
Yep. It's that simple. I mean, in a world of instant gratification, simple may not be easy, right? This might be, wait. I'd like results like yesterday, how nice for you to have that notion that sometimes this is going to take a while, and stay the course.
Yeah, and it's just, it's retraining. All of us we've been going through these motions and these patterns and these schedules for so long, and all of a sudden everything, falls apart. And it's just starting in with those new things, like whatever that new pattern is going to look like, the new thoughts, the new vision. This is a great time for everybody to just really what do I want my life to look like, right? And getting into those five senses, whether it's a vacation, whether it's a career, whether it's a relationship.
Right.
and just keep feeling it. I mean, that's what got you from point A to point B in
Mhm.
the Olympics. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I've just trivialized all the hard times that were going on. It was a really, really, really hard thing to do. I just got off the phone this morning with a friend who's in the same industry, and she's on her own. She's in a studio apartment. She's such a great thinker, but she just kind of admitted that she's really struggling. And I wish I could have hugged her. I wish I could have said it's
Aw.
going to be okay. So for those listening right now that are struggling, and this may sound like it's flippant or trivial, man, this can be really, really, really hard. But we don't make decisions that are life altering when things are great.
Right,
It's when
right.
you go, wait a minute, this is unacceptable. This feeling will never happen again. I'm moving forward, and that's where it's going to happen. So if I could give everybody out there, any of us, struggling at this time, just a kind of a hug. I know I'm not supposed to,
Virtual
but
hug, that's okay.
virtual hug. I don't know how to do that, but definitely, if you can feel that energy, we're in this together.
Thank you for saying that. And that's what this summit is all about, just
Yeah,
spreading that love and that support and those, those good feelings, because there's just not enough and people are feeling,
yeah.
cut off from humans. And so even this is like powerful, right? A
I hope
face,
so. Yeah,
motion,
right.
emotion, it's all coming through from that.
Yeah.
That's huge. There was one more. Oh, so talking about, the ant, just one last thing, because I want to cover this, I think, for a lot of people, when those negative emotions start to creep up, you know, talking about, instead of running from that feeling and just like, being able to lean into it.
Yeah.
And, what advice do you have on a bigger picture of, and I'm talking about not just big hopes and dreams, but what's going to happen to my job, what's going to happen to my,
Yeah.
my house and everything. What can you share about leaning into those negative emotions?
I have a friend. I haven't talked to him in years, actually. I don't even know what qualifies as a friend anymore, but uh, I just adore the guy, John Amat. And he climbed Everest. Maybe I think he was the first Canadian to climb Everest, if I remember correctly. I'm Canadian. And so, but I now live in Dallas. So I don't know what I am. But anyway, um, he said about fear, when you run away from fear, it gets larger. When you run towards it, it gets smaller. And so it's in a way counterintuitive. Another metaphor may be that skiing, and it's funny. I've been skiing with friends and who are beginners and or really struggling with it. And the instinct in skiing is a funny little equation, because if you think of flat ground, and when you're perpendicular to the ground, you will not fall over. Now that sounds very basic, right?
Mhm.
But if you lean forward, you're going to fall over. If you lean back, you're going to fall over. Well, in skiing, what happens when there's a slope and it gets steeper and steeper, what do people do? Well, they don't stay perpendicular. Their instinct is to lean back. And what happens is, not only do you pick up speed, but you also fall. So it's a very bad combination if it gets steeper and steeper. But the only way in skiing to maintain control is to stay perpendicular to the slope. So in our metaphorical lives right now, stay over your skis. It's like you don't lean into fear. You don't, but you don't lean away from it either. You occupy the space that will allow you to thrive in this setting. And so the worse this grade gets, the more terrifying it can be. But the rules still say the same: stay perpendicular to the slope. And and I'll leave everybody with another thing. Are you the architect for your truth, or is the truth occurring to you? Now, what that means is, are you'll gravitate to that which you believe to be true. So, are you the architect for that truth? Do you know the answers? No. Do you know the outcomes? No. But you can say to yourself, I know everything's going to be okay. I know we can do this together. I know I can rely on somebody in my world. And be the architect for that truth. Know that this is going to be okay. And sometimes the truth, and I'll give you mine, is my truth is actually a question. And it is, how will I serve with love? Meaning, in this moment, in this interview, how will I serve with love, right? And if that is something that I can say, okay, I'm living in that truth, then I don't have to worry about anything else. And so be the architect for your truth. Don't make the truth appear to you. Don't have the truth appear to you through a TV show or a news program or or anything. You'll gravitate to that which you believe to be true. And so be the architect for that truth.
I think that's scary for a lot of people to think that they've got that kind of power over being architect of their own.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I haven't figured that one out. So,
but you just gave them a gift. You just gave them a gift to let them know that they can be the architect of their.
Oh, good.
Their life.
Great. That's what it was supposed to be. There you go. Yeah.
Valuable tidbit. So Vince has an amazing free gift available for anybody. Well, I didn't know if you had any final words that you wanted to say.
That was it. Be the architect for your truth and stay perpendicular to the slope. No matter how steep it gets, no matter how scary it is, by leaning back, it's not going to go well for you. And then leaning forward or overextending yourself, also not going to go well for you. Stay over your skis. Stay perpendicular to this and be the architect for your truth.
Find that sweet spot, right?
It is. And it's always dynamic. I mean, if you've ever been skiing, it's a dynamic situation. You're always in the state of, is this it? 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 You know, right? So, you know.
You're making me miss skiing now. We got our season so cut short.
Oh, yeah. Bummer. Total bummer. Yeah.
It was. Anyways, okay, back to the free gift that Vince is offering. And it is his ebook called Heroes Climb. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. The Heroes Climb is a book that I wrote that came out of expeditions that I've been on or leading since 2006. We go to the Himalayas and we name mountains that have never been climbed after everyday heroes. We select, instead of having an ego-based trip where we're going to name a mountain after me, you know, it's none of that. We select people that are our everyday heroes, that they're compassionate and humble and persistent and fearless and selfless. And when somebody has those 5 qualities, there are also 5 qualities we could each aspire towards as well. So the Heroes Climb are stories from some of those expeditions, and also the 5 qualities of everyday heroes and how we could each embrace each of those 5 qualities that I just listed.
Fabulous. So you can get your copy of that ebook on the link that'll be in the email that you received, and that can be sent to you. Yep. And I didn't know did you have a paid offer as well, Vince?
Well, you know, if they want to buy my book, you know, that would help. I've got 3 kids drinking all my beer, so this is really the beer fund. The Vince Poscente giving my college-age kids more beer. So if you want to do that, Audible, or you can get a soft cover copy as well of The Ant and the Elephant. And yeah, I'd love for you to read it regardless, even borrow it from a friend. That's why we write these books. So The Ant and the Elephant will help as well.
Perfect. And your website link is?
VincePoscente.com.
All right. You can find out more about Vince and learn more about his teachings and all his fabulous adventures. I know you've got some great videos on there too, don't you?
Yeah, tons of videos. I keep hearing the word binge watching my YouTube videos. I'm like, wow, you must be bored. But anyways, no, there's some good value in there. Yeah, it's fun. It's always got to be fun. I mean, if it's not fun, you know, all right.
Exactly. There's enough flatline stuff out there. So
there is.
So I'm doing this for the first time with you. I think we should give everybody a virtual hug before we sign off.
Yes. Lots of love coming your way.
There you go. So thank you again, Vince, and to our audience, we hope you enjoyed today's series, part of the series. And in the meantime, be courageous, sending you love and light.